Hello and welcome. So guys, we need to talk because there have been so many fragrances launched during 2024 and I have picked up quite a number of them, and I just haven't had a chance to really sit down and have a conversation with you. But today I'm going to share with you the top 5 on my list right now for fall. So of all of the 2024 fragrances that I have tried and or picked up to date, I'm going to share with you the top 5 for fall. 5 fragrances that I know are going to make you smell fabulous and make you feel incredible for the fall season. Now, I also did not bring any fragrance that I have already shared with you here on the channel and that I've told you how I feel about it. I wanted these to be 5 fragrances that we haven't discussed because I have quite a number of fragrances that I need to catch you up on. So I'm just going to go ahead and share these 5 fragrances with you. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and in this channel we talk about fragrances of all types, whether they're Middle Eastern, Western niche, designer, affordable, and scented body products. I upload videos several times a week, and if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. So the other thing that I forgot to tell you guys is that I did not blind buy any of these fragrances. I actually either had samples or decants because when it comes to niche fragrances lately, guys, and I'm sure you will agree, I mean, the retail price is so deep that I just can't justify just blind buying them. And I have bought or picked up a couple of fragrances and they have been blind buys, but none of these 5 were blind buys at all. And I really don't advise you to do that. So try to get yourself a sample or a decant. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And the first one that I want to share with you guys, oh my goodness. So I'm speaking about Floraiku, and this one is Rise and Fall. Now guys, this fragrance, I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed this fragrance. I got myself a sample, and the sample, I used it up like in a couple of days, and I knew from the first moment I sniffed this fragrance that I wanted a full bottle, and that was it. But let me tell you, this fragrance is extremely, extremely beautiful and exquisite. But you have to love the note of ginger, because the star here is definitely the ginger. This fragrance is warm, spicy, and it's kind of like a little bit herbal, bordering on aromatic also. It has quite a bit of vanilla, and the vanilla to my nose comes in right when you first spray it, and as you go through the olfactory journey, it does intensify. And then at the dry down, you are going to get that ginger spiciness with that vanilla, which is very present in the background. And then there's like a smokiness to it. And I don't know where that's coming from, but I know that my nose is picking up on a certain degree of smokiness. They have not shared with us any notes that would lead you to believe that there is a smokiness quality to this fragrance, but to my nose, there absolutely is. This fragrance is, guys, when I tell you, just beautiful. There is no oud here. I think this is perfect for 25 plus. I think anybody can pull off this fragrance. It is definitely, to my nose, a unisex fragrance. If I had to pick a lean, I would say it leans just a tad to the feminine side, but truly, guys, this is really a unisex fragrance. And it is a fragrance that you can use, in my opinion, all throughout the year, but I think is perfection for the fall. I think it is perfect for the fall and spring and winter, depending on where you are. If it's not too cold of a day, I think it would be nice. And during the summer on a not very hot summer day. But other than that, this is a fragrance that is very versatile. You could make it your signature scent. You could take it to the office. You could wear it for all occasions, casual or formal. It doesn't matter, day or night, because this fragrance is just a beauty. As far as the feel of this fragrance, what I love about this fragrance is that it's almost like it is definitely an opulent and luxurious fragrance, but at that, it's very demure, very conservative. It's almost like silent luxury kind of fragrance. Yeah, that's how I would categorize it. This is an individual that is definitely, one who loves luxury and is a bit opulent in their ways, but at that, they don't go around screaming it or announcing it or shouting it. It's almost like, have you ever met someone that is really into Prada? That's a brand that is so luxurious without having to be loud or, just very statement making wherever they walk in. This is the kind of individual that will sit in the back of a room, but will definitely be pulled because their presence is just undeniable. That's the feel that I get from this fragrance. Just quiet luxury, just a beautiful, beautiful scent. So the next fragrance that I want to share with you, we just finished talking about a very beautiful but demure fragrance. And the next fragrance that I want to share with you is in the complete opposite spectrum. It's just very, very interesting because it is the complete opposite end. And I'm speaking about Tomavicci's, and this is the latest, which is Opulentia Oud. Now guys, this fragrance, okay, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I absolutely love Tomavicci fragrances, and I do have them all in my collection. At this point, if I recall correctly, we have about 5 fragrances total from Tomavicci, and every single fragrance makes its own bold statement. This is a fragrance house that if you want a fragrance that will make a statement whenever you arrive, if you want a bold, definitely beast mode fragrance, this is the fragrance house that you want to try. Because when I tell you, but their fragrances are very complex, so I would really recommend that you get yourself a sample before picking them up. So Opulentia Oud, as the name says it, is a fragrance that has quite a bit of oud. I would say that this is a fragrance where the main star, the dominant note, is definitely oud. But at that, guys, I have to tell you that the oud has been done exquisitely. Now, this is not a smooth oud. No, this fragrance is designed for you to know that it is all about the oud. So this is not a demure or smooth oud. So in the oud meter, as we call it here on the channel, where you have from 1 to 5, with 5 being the most intense presence of oud that you're going to get from a fragrance, I would say that this is a very strong 4. Not necessarily a 5, but definitely a very strong 4. In addition to the oud, you are going to pick up on quite a bit of spiciness in this fragrance. When it opens, it's almost like a warm spicy, but as you go through the olfactory journey, I really do get, at least on my skin, like a freshness. And that freshness is linked to that spiciness somehow. And I don't know where it's coming from because there's quite a number of notes here, but I can tell you that it is definitely a spicy fragrance. Now you are also going to get some woodiness. So you have the oud, and then there's that woodiness, and then there's that spiciness. So this is a fragrance that, like all Tomavicci fragrances, has quite a bit of oomph and character. It's also fruity, and you are going to pick up on a very clear rose note. The rose is undeniable. So you must like not just an oud-centric fragrance, but you must also appreciate a rose. But I can tell you that Tomavicci does the rose note very, very nicely, because I do have the note of rose in a couple of other of their fragrances. And I absolutely love how they really work with that note of rose. The fragrance is also very like aromatic, and it has a touch of earthiness. And I think that that earthiness is tied to the oud. But the oud is like, again, it's not a barnyard type of oud. No, it is definitely an oud that if you are an oud lover, you are absolutely going to love this fragrance. Like all of my Tomavicci fragrances, this is also a beast mode fragrance. Guys, this is a fragrance that without me having to overspray will get me 10 to 12 hours on skin for sure. And on clothes, it just never leaves your clothes. You can even launder your clothes and you're still gonna pick up a faint sniff of this fragrance. This is a fragrance that I think is best suited for 30 plus because this is a very mature, not a dated or old kind of fragrance, but this is definitely a fragrance that requires, in my opinion, a certain level of maturity to pull it off. I think that this is a fragrance really where you really just want to pull it during the fall and winter seasons. I can't imagine myself wearing this during the spring unless it's a very cold day. And definitely not a fragrance that I would pull for the summer season at all whatsoever. When it comes to the feel of Opulentia Oud, I have to tell you that this is all, without a doubt, this is all about, this is all about luxury. This is all about someone who is very confident, but very no nonsense, very sophisticated, very elegant. They go around, if it's a female, like with a Birkin. It's just, you know, so while with Rise and Fall, I talked to you about demure elegance and luxury, like a very discreet, quiet luxury type of individual. With Opulentia Oud, this is all about open, out there, non-apologetic, like no nonsense, opulence and luxury. Just a very, very rich smell for someone who makes no excuses for their wealth. And by the way, guys, this fragrance is a very special fragrance because the master perfumer behind this beauty is none other than Christian Provenzano, which, oh my goodness, his fragrances tend to be this opulent and this special in my opinion. This is also a fragrance, guys, that it is a definite 10 out of 10. I mean, you know, Rise and Fall, which I think I forgot to say it, but Rise and Fall is a definitely 10 out of 10 for me, but just like in a different way, in a different spectrum. But this one is a definite 10 out of 10, bold and just out there. All right, guys, so this next fragrance that I want to share with you is one that, oh my goodness, I had a decant, and it was a large decant that a friend sent me, and I used it up almost immediately because from the moment I sniffed this fragrance, I absolutely fell in love. So I just ordered a bottle, and I am speaking about Electimuss Spice d'Arno. Oh my goodness, guys, this fragrance is just a beauty. But I do not want to describe it as a beauty because it has so much oomph and character. It is quite a bold fragrance while at the same time being kind of demure about it. If I had to give this fragrance a phrase to kind of initially describe it to you, I would say this is the go with the flow, no uphill battles type of fragrance. This fragrance is very ambery, but guys, it has so much vanilla. If you have this fragrance, can you please let us know if you pick up on that ton of vanilla that I do? But it's a ton of vanilla, and the opening to my nose is quite aromatic while also being very citrusy. As the olfactory journey continues, it does sweeten up more and more to my nose, and I clearly pick up on the note of leather. But the leather, please do not be concerned if you do not like fragrances with a note of leather, because the leather here is so smooth. This fragrance, guys, is really all about the vanilla in my opinion, but it's the way that the vanilla has been done. There's also a powderiness that I start to pick up midway through the olfactory journey and stays with me at the dry down. But I would not describe this fragrance as a very powdery fragrance, but it is definitely powdery. This is a fragrance that I think would be the perfect signature scent for an individual that really enjoys a fragrance that, while having that addictive vanilla profile, also has a bit of edge because of that leather note, which again, the leather note is not really dominant, but it is present and it is quite smooth. This is the type of fragrance that I can see easily anybody within the 25 plus age group pulling off for just about all throughout the year, with the exception of a very warm summer day. But you may even be able to do that because this one is such a versatile fragrance. Of all of the fragrances that I'm going to share with you today, I would say that this is the most versatile and also the most crowd pleasing. So this would be quite mass appealing in my opinion, because the vanilla is the star, along with some degree of cardamom and then that very smooth leather. When it comes to the oud, I would say that in the oud meter, with 1 being the least and 5 being the most that you're going to pick up, this is a strong 1 or maybe a light 2, because oud, while I pick it up because I'm looking for it, so that I could share with you the oud meter, while I was looking for the oud, it's just very faint. That is not the focus of the fragrance. To my nose and on my skin, this fragrance again is all about the vanilla, the cardamom, and a very, very light leather. This fragrance, when it comes to the feel, is definitely a fragrance that, at least to me, speaks to someone who is very quiet, typically in the back of a room, but they're very edgy. So there is an edge to them. They just don't show that edge side. And I know that we talked about another fragrance earlier where I said that this was a demure individual that sits in the back of the room, and it was rise and fall. They sit in the back of the room and then they're pulled. But when it comes to this fragrance, this is a bit different because this individual has a definite edge to them. And when you look at them, you can tell that they have an edge to them. But they're also very quiet and demure in their ways. But there is definitely an edge and a sweetness to this individual, and this fragrance definitely speaks to that. This is also a fragrance that I would say is a definite unisex fragrance. It does not lean masculine at all to my nose, nor feminine. I know that there's a lot of Electimuss fragrances that we end up, rating as a fragrance that is unisex but leaning more towards the masculine side. But I have to tell you that of all of the Electimuss fragrances that I have, this one is truly unisex and not leaning not a bit to the masculine side. Much like all the other fragrances that I'm sharing with you today, this is a definite 10 out of 10, and I would be surprised if someone really does not enjoy this fragrance. As long as you like vanilla and you do enjoy a good leather fragrance, even though here it's pretty faint, pretty light, I would say that this is a sure thing for you. You are going to absolutely love it. And if you love the Electimuss Fragrance House DNA, wow, this is a fragrance that you're absolutely going to fall head over heels for. All right, guys, so this next fragrance that I'm going to share with you is a very, very special fragrance because it is from a fragrance house, guys, that is really trying to take over within my top 5 fragrance houses that I absolutely adore. This is my 5th fragrance from this fragrance house, and I am just obsessed with this fragrance. I did get a sample before picking it up, as I shared with you at the beginning, but guys, I just knew that I had to have this fragrance. And I'm speaking about Oud Cadenza from Maison Crivelli. Now, let me tell you right now that if I had to describe this fragrance for you, just to give you an idea from the get-go of what this fragrance is like, this is the ultimate oud gourmand fragrance. I do not have anything in my entire Western niche and otherwise collection that quite grasps being a gourmand fragrance while also having a very present oud. The oud in this fragrance within the oud meter is a definite 4, so it is a very powerful oud as to be expected. But you know, guys, so I have other Maison Crivelli fragrances that do have the note of oud, and in this one, I find the oud to be a bit stronger, but at the same time, for some reason, it has been done in a more manageable way. So wearing this fragrance will not be overbearing or obnoxious because the oud here has been done magnificently. This is a fragrance that, like, at least for me, in my experience, like most Maison Crivelli fragrances that I own, if not all, is very, very addictive. But I have to tell you that right now, this one is my favorite from all the other Maison Crivelli fragrances that I own or have tried. This one is at the top of my list right now. This is such a groundbreaking type of fragrance for me, guys. And you know, when it was first launched, I heard from a couple of friends within the fragrance community that in the UK, when this was launched, it sold out almost immediately and people were looking for it everywhere and trying to sell other fragrances just to pick up this one. And I have to tell you, I totally understand and I agree because, oh my goodness, this fragrance is just everything. This is just amazing. The one thing that I will tell you is obviously you have to love an oud fragrance because this is truly an oud fragrance and an oud at the 4 level, bordering on 5. So it's pretty dominant. The note of oud is pretty dominant. But in the Maison Crivelli fashion, while the oud is done in a very intense way, it's not an oud that is obnoxious or overpowering or overbearing or barnyard. You know, I would not say that this is a smooth oud because it's not. It's an intense oud, but it's that oud that brings richness, that makes you smell so beautiful and luxurious and rich. It's just a beauty. So this fragrance is very sweet. It has a ton of vanilla and it has a clear note to my nose of caramel. And those qualities blended with that oud make for an incredibly addictive fragrance. When I tell you addictive, super addictive, guys. It's also a bit balsamic and the spiciness that you're going to pick up immediately is coming from the note of cinnamon. And the cinnamon, I tell you, there's not one note in this fragrance that is demure. All of the notes do have a dominant role throughout the olfactory journey. And at the dry down in the style and DNA of Maison Crivelli, guys, you are going to get the most exquisitely blended fragrance that brings to the table all of the notes that have been disclosed in addition to others that you may pick up on. So this is a fragrance that I say you have to be definitely in the, I would say 30 plus group to pull it off because this fragrance does require quite a bit of maturity, just like Opulentia Oud. For you to pull it off, I just don't see someone in their early 20s really pulling off this fragrance because it does require a certain level of maturity to own it and carry it the way that it should. This is a fragrance that for sure, guys, I would limit to the fall and winter months and maybe a very cold spring day, but this is definitely not a fragrance that you want to wear on a warm day whatsoever. This is perfection for the fall and winter seasons. This is also a fragrance that you can wear day or night, but I would say during the day, I personally would limit it to late afternoon occasions all the way into the late night. I can't imagine myself in a very early morning casual type of event wearing this fragrance as it will be overpowering. I think that you would smell like a bit out of place. As all Maison Crivelli fragrances for the most part, this is truly to me a unisex fragrance with no lean to the feminine or the masculine side. And it is a beast. When I say beast, of all of the fragrances that I'm sharing with you today, which all perform exquisitely, and there are several that are beast mode, this is the most beast mode of all, without a shadow of a doubt. As far as the feel of this fragrance, this is definitely a fragrance for a very confident, attention getter type of individual. Someone who's really not the center of the party because the party is not where they really thrive. It's more like someone who definitely gets the attention anywhere they go, not just at a party, it's anywhere they go. And you'll typically find this person in the center of a circle of individuals, just almost like facilitating the discussion and steering it to where they want it to go. This is a very intense fragrance for a kind of intense and extremely confident individual. All right, guys, this next fragrance. Now, you guys know that when I leave a fragrance for last, it's because all of these fragrances have me on a chokehold. But this one, oh goodness, let me tell you, I had not even heard of this fragrance house until recently. And when I saw this fragrance, I picked it up from Harrods. And when I saw this fragrance, I just wanted to blind buy it, but I didn't. I got myself a sample, and it was very hard to get one, by the way. But it was worth it, because when I tell you, oh my goodness, this fragrance is for my iris lovers. Just recently, probably 2 days ago, if this video goes in the schedule that I created for it, I shared with you the recent launch from Parfums de Marly, which is Palladium. And I told you that there was a fragrance that was coming up in a future video where I feature the note of iris. And this is the fragrance that I was alluding to if you've been watching all my videos. This fragrance is from a fragrance house called, and I hope I'm pronouncing it well, I'm probably going to butcher this, I apologize in advance, but this fragrance house is called Le Primordiales, I think is what they're called. But anyway, what I do know is that this fragrance is called Iris Palladium. Oh my goodness, guys. Listen to me carefully. If you are an iris and violet lover and you have not gotten your nose on this fragrance, you've got to run. I am telling you, get yourself a sample, because oh my goodness. But I tell you, if you love iris and violet, this is a sure love for you. I just cannot imagine you not falling head over heels for this fragrance. And I have a couple of fan members that I know they are absolute iris violet lovers, and I am telling you that you are going to fall in love with this fragrance. This fragrance is the most iris violet forward fragrance that I have in my entire collection. The stars here are without a shadow of a doubt, the iris, the violet, and the note of cardamom. And that combination is absolutely exquisite. This fragrance opens up very woody and powdery. Oh my goodness, this is such a powdery fragrance. This is the fragrance that if you are not into powdery fragrances, please do not bother with this fragrance at all, because when I tell you this is the most powdery fragrance I have in my entire collection, it's almost like I have powdery feelers in my nose right now because I just sniffed the fragrance. But this fragrance, like I said, opens up very woody. It's very, very powdery, and I immediately start to pick up on that iris violet combination. It's also very aromatic, and from what I recall, midway through the olfactory journey, you're going to get lavender, and then there's an earthiness that comes in that grounds all of those purple florals, because this is the ultimate purple floral fragrance. I'm telling you, I have nothing like this in my collection. This fragrance has made me take a deeper and closer look into this fragrance house, because if this is their DNA, if everything they create is with this level of precision and intensity, then I'm going to want other fragrances. So I do have several of their fragrances coming to me as far as samples. I want to sample them first before I commit to a full bottle. But this one, guys, oh my goodness. This sample, I think it lasted me like 2 days because I just knew that I wanted a full bottle. And then I received this bottle and I've used this one maybe like once, but when I tell you, and this is an incredible performance fragrance. This is not a full-on beast mode, but this is one that will get you a full day wear. It will get you a ton of compliments. Like, there is no way that you're going to walk into a room and people are not going to know that you're there. This has an incredible sillage, and it does have a very strong projection during the first 2 hours, and then it becomes a scent bubble. And the scent bubble is with you almost all throughout the wear of the fragrance. I've never seen anything like it. And then it does become a skin scent towards, I would say, like your 5th hour, but you're still going to get whiffs of the fragrance. This is just an exceptional fragrance. I would say that this is perfect for a group of 25 plus. There is absolutely no oud in this fragrance. And I also wanted to tell you that when I first sniffed the sample that I started to work with in order to determine if I wanted to pick it up or not, it immediately reminded me, and it's not that they're the same, it just gave me the same vibe of Matière Premier's Santal Austral. That's what it gave me. So if you're into that fragrance, you are absolutely going to love this one also. It's like they have a very similar kind of DNA. As far as the feel of this fragrance, I see this fragrance on an individual that has such a positive energy to them that they glow. This is the type of person, have you ever seen someone that you look at them and it's like there's a glow around them, like there's a glow around them literally, and their eyes are very like shiny, but at the same time they're very deep. So if you look into their eyes, you're like taking a look into their soul. It's just very interesting. But that's what I get from this fragrance, a very light and bright and positive energy type of individual. That's the feel that I get from this fragrance. It opens your eyes immediately and it makes you feel alive. Needless to say, guys, I'd give this fragrance a 10 out of 10. The fragrances that I shared with you today are fragrances that truly, to me, are 10 out of 10 fragrances. And most of them, 3 of them I would say, because 2 others are very strong, I think are signature scent worthy fragrances because they are that special. Please let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances and your thoughts. And if you're interested in any of these fragrances, of course, I'll have everything in the description box for you. But I do recommend that you get yourself a sample before picking them up. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today. Guys, I have so many more niche fragrances coming to the channel that I definitely have to share with you. But this group is a very special group, and I hope this was enjoyable for you. Thanks for hanging with me as always, and I will see you in the next video.